thing first, I would like to check our connections across platforms because today we are live streaming on our Finance Live as always on YouTube as well as Twitter live streaming and our Twitch as well. So many different platforms. And we have Leigh over here joining us from Reflection AI. He's a CEO at Lee's big AI startup project. And we're very honored to have you over here. Welcome. Would you like to starting from introducing yourself, your journey? How do you wanted to start this project and build AI tools in the Web3 space, and also let us know about the project Reflection AI. Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you for the energetic introduction, Moonlight. That was really kind of you. Hi, everyone across the world. My name is Leigh Flounders. I'll try and keep this brief about myself, and then we can talk a little bit about Reflection AI. So I'm the Chief Executive of Reflection AI. I have a significant experience in financial services and technology over the last 20 years. So I've worked in China for 3 years, worked in California in the USA, and I've also worked in Africa most recently, where I was the CEO of a bank, and currently based in Dubai, where I have ran in 2018 one of the largest digital transformations for a large bank in the region. Now, the reason that I have sort of articulated that is over this time frame, I've seen the rise of artificial intelligence from 2015, 2016, where we were looking at the advent of the terminology big data through to the common statements of machine learning, advanced analytics, and artificial intelligence. AI is, obviously well before this. I think the first implementations of artificial intelligence were in the 1960s and 1970s. So that's not something new. And what I've seen over the last decade is the increase of large institutions, financial services companies starting to implement algorithms into their day-to-day activities, whether it's the back-end components of their operations all the way through to how the customer interacts. And, if anyone, I'm sure that there's a large portion of customers who are based in China or Southeast Asia who have used WeChat. If we think about how WeChat can predict what we're going to do next, what we're going to buy, whether we're going to hire a bike to do ride sharing, whether we're going to grab a taxi. There's a predictive element that behind the scenes is really just smart use of artificial intelligence. And then comes the prescriptive model where they predict what you're going to do and they prescribe potentially an offer. So we've seen it really become ubiquitous. We don't see artificial intelligence in many ways. But I've been behind many projects over the last decade of implementing these algorithms and smarter ways to engage with customers, and also smarter ways to run businesses behind the scenes. A little bit about Reflection AI, which is based out of Singapore. We have a team of just under 20 staff working for the business. We're very early stage. We're in the process of preparing for an exchange listing, which is really exciting. And we're also in the middle of a relatively modest capital raise as well. What does the business do? Well, Reflection AI, in very simple terms, is, if you're familiar with Google Play or iOS, Reflection AI is a app store, so a marketplace for artificial intelligence mini apps. So think about the Google Play Store. Developers can put on AI mini apps, and consumers or businesses can then in turn use those mini apps. What makes us different, and probably why we're talking to you, Moonlight, given that you're so ubiquitous in the crypto and blockchain space, is Reflection AI is different to, say, OpenAI as an example, or if anyone who's into technology, there's a company called Hugging Face, which is a platform for artificial intelligence. Where we're very different is we're actually the first platform that is to be built on the TON network. Now, that gives us some sort of key I'd say, benefits, in that we have immediate access to be able to deliver these AI mini apps to the Telegram community, first and foremost. And secondly, the RECT token that we're going to be launching to the market once it is all minted and on the exchange, will be sitting on the financial engineering of the Ton network as well, which gives the users certainty and security and also scalability as well. So in essence, that's a little bit about me. A significant amount of experience working in the machine learning and artificial intelligence space. Am I one of the super smart people who writes algorithms? Absolutely not. But I'm familiar with how you implement artificial intelligence and advanced analytics in businesses. And then on the second part, I was talking about the business reflection AI. And like I said, for everyone's reference, the easiest parallel is that we are like Google Play or iOS, rather than just for a straight out app, we're for artificial intelligence mini apps. So over to you, Moonlight, and thanks for the opportunity to talk as well.
That is just amazing. Thanks, Leigh, for letting us know about your journey, right, from traditional finance and across different, places around the world, and then joining Reflection AI. At least it's a team based in Singapore, but now you're personally in Dubai, right? That is just amazing. Internationalized team and building the latest, the hottest tool, right, in the Web3 space. Just like you say, right, you with the so many user base in on Telegram and in the Ton ecosystem, it's definitely a great jumpstart. So here's a quick question before we go over to our very first discussion topic. Has the Reflection AI tool already been deployed on the Ton ecosystem, and or can we start to use it when we are also using our Telegram app as well? Thank you.
Yeah, so October the 15th is where we launch our official platform to the market. So all of the work on the Ton network has been done. All of the wallet integrations have been completed. And I would say that we are a very mature minimum viable product at the moment. However, our product roadmap states that we will be fully ready for the first external AI app developers to start loading up their artificial intelligence applications on our platform on October the 15th. And then that will become available to Telegram users initially to be able to use those AI mini apps in the Telegram ecosystem. Our application can also be used in a web app on your phone as well. So similar to, I'm assuming everyone's familiar with OpenAI, on your phone, you can either download the app or you can just go into the web app on Chrome, and you can Chrome or Safari, you can access OpenAI, and you can access any of the, obviously ChatGPT is probably the best example of a AI mini app within OpenAI. So that's normally the first port of call. But you can also access multiple other types of algorithms or large learning models. So, so there's some good examples on OpenAI which relate to trading algorithms all the way through to visualization applications as well. So you can access our models in a traditional way through a web browser, but conversely, our core market initially is going to be the Telegram network as well, where you can host that particular mini app within your Telegram app. So a really simple example of that could be a digital avatar as an example. So you could have a digital avatar, or you could have a crypto trading algorithm running in Telegram. You could have a counselor or a virtual boyfriend or a virtual girlfriend. I mean, I think the beauty of what we're doing and why Reflection AI stood out to me as a great business for this particular capital raise and a scalable business is that although the platform, if you build a platform, there's limitations to that, but there's no limitations to the models that you can host on that particular platform. So your scalability is infinite. So we're not a traditional business that may say, okay, we're going to design an app and that app is going to sit on someone's phone. No, we are, like I said, similar to the Google platform or iOS, where effectively there are no limits to the monetization model. There are no limits to the token value, because the only limits are really put on the the imagination of the AI app mini users and the appetite of consumers to want to be able to utilize those AI mini apps. And, just like 3-4 years ago, we probably wouldn't have predicted that ChatGPT would become such a big part of our life.
Right.
Even though we knew that chat was functional, but once we all realized how much of value that it could add, it became again ubiquitous to our day-to-day lives. So I think you're going to see, certainly with Reflection AI and platforms like this, is we'll have certain consumer bases that are really just consuming endless mini apps within their day-to-day lives, and whether that's through a traditional sense or whether it's just integrated into their mobile phone, onto their wearables, into every single aspect of their life as well.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yes, just like you say, right? Or several years ago, we really cannot imagine that AI would change our life dramatically, right? And also, these actually help us in everyday different cases, right? For example, for me, that helped me to reduce a bunch of time when I'm reading certain research journals or papers, right? And also, of course, creating content. I know a lot of content creators also rely on various AI tools, right? Help us from writing the script and then to edit, our videos, right? So definitely AI
Yeah.
is a trend. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, Moonlight. You talk about marketing as an example, and
Right.
I'm glad you talked about that, because even I'll try and deviate from our platform, but it is logical that we will have a significant amount of copywriting and marketing and video automation algorithms sitting on our platform. But marketing is your classic example of a industry, a vertical that has been heavily disrupted,
Mm-hmm.
and the value of, you will know this, whether it's reading an article or whether it's summarizing or writing copyright, you can do that now within 1 to 2 minutes. You don't need to then go and hire, you don't need to hire someone from Fiverr. You don't need to necessarily have a big marketing team at an enterprise level. There is so much that you can do with that automation now. And so if you think about that value that it adds your life, right? You were talking about being able to read a journal, a white paper, or a thesis, and to be able to summarize it within, some key points. That is so much value for you. And the reality is that for premium use, people will pay for that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so, our aim is to really be the go-to platform where you have certified applications that are giving you, the right information that is, based off very well-developed applications.
Mm-hmm.
And again, there's real value. We're not creating something for the sake of it. It's something about giving value to the users and also the developers as well.
Right. Nice. Thank you so much. And really can't wait for the official launch for our Reflection AS platform. Friends, mark the date on October 15, right? Which is, a little bit more than 2 weeks. And then there will have a platform ready to launch for everyone to be able to use. And it's really convenient. So friends, be sure to come back to Reflection AI's official Twitter or X handle, right? And then follow the direction to use it. Also, friends, we are live streaming on Binance Live. I see that we're already being featured on the front page of Binance Live, and now we have over 3.6 thousand live views. And friends, be sure to type Reflection AI in the comment so you can receive our crypto airdrops and directly go to your Binance account, which is amazing, right? And next, we would like to ask Leigh, the CEO at Reflection AI, a very interesting question. What is driving the growth of the AI market, other than the things that we talk about, right? Marketing needs or helping us to digest some big documents, right? Any other ways that you think are the reasons behind the things that drives the AI market overall? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question. Moonlight, that is a fantastic question. And before I answer that, let's just put some numbers to artificial intelligence to put it in context, right? So you and I, we work in the blockchain industry. The blockchain industry, the technology alone, so not notwithstanding the market cap of all of the cryptocurrencies, but the technology alone is worth 17 billion US dollars. Okay, so and what? How long has crypto been going for, and blockchain since Satoshi? What are we looking at? Maybe 2012, 2011. I'm not sure what the dates are. So we're at 17 billion US dollars worth of value for all of the blockchain infrastructure. Artificial intelligence and machine learning, advanced AI and machine learning we've really only been talking for about sort of 3 or 4, let's say 3 years, right? The mainstream in the last 2 years, people like you and I, have been in technology for a while. Let's say we've been talking about it for the last decade. For the last 30 years, the really intelligent people have been talking about it. So, but now it's in mainstream. Everyone's talking about AI. 17 billion for blockchain technology. The AI technology industry right at the moment is worth 268 billion US dollars already. Okay, so I just wanted to frame it when you contextualize the value of the technology. 17 billion for blockchain, and 270 billion US dollars for artificial intelligence. And that's primarily because it's been embedded without many people seeing it over the last 10 years, and the industry has grown, but we haven't necessarily noticed that it's been happening until it's become mainstream with ChatGPT, OpenAI, and everyone talking about AI. So what has driven that? To answer your question, I just wanted to paint the landscape of the value. And just by the way, by 2034, the artificial intelligence industry is supposed to hit around 1 trillion US dollars. Wow. So you're talking some serious growth. It's a great industry to be in when you're looking at those types of CAGR growth metrics as well. But what are the sort of the 3 key reasons that AI has become so ubiquitous now? This is my opinion. It's utility, okay, scalability, and reliability. They all rhyme, which is good. So let's kind of look at that. Utility, as in that it's actually serving a purpose, a real purpose to people's lives and businesses' lives right now. You can utilize it, and it works. So utility, scalability through cloud computing, through real-time, serverless, stateless data streaming, hyperconnectivity, IoT, 5G connectivity. You have the scalability of the utility of artificial intelligence. So it's useful, and now it can go to everyone. And lastly, reliability. So it actually works. So again, if you now I look at I've got my Google Home device over there on the counter. It really drives me crazy because it just doesn't understand my accent. It really drives me crazy. I ask for everything, and Google just doesn't give me the right answer. But now they've integrated Gemini, which is effectively the ChatGPT of the parallel to ChatGPT, and Gemini works a lot better. It gives me much more valuable insights like ChatGPT does. So it's reliable and it's useful for me, and I can access it anywhere. And again, I keep on coming back to ChatGPT. I mean, that's just because maybe for your viewers, that's some of them, it might be their first interaction with artificial intelligence that they know of. And that's the key point. It's an interaction that you're starting that interaction with artificial intelligence. But generally speaking, for the last decade, we haven't known that these things have been happening. So I'll give you an example. If we say take Singapore, and you've got Grab and you've got Gojek. In China, you've got WeChat, Jingdong.com, JD, you've got Baidu, all of those kind of those pieces. When you're interacting with them, generally speaking, there's some form of algorithm behind, again, predicting what you are going to do, and then prescribing a action, product, service for you to interact with. And so I think that now we know that we're interacting with artificial intelligence. You're starting to see regulation come along, and that's becoming probably one of the main things that anyone in the AI industry is concerned about, or concerned in a good way, is what does the regulation look like, and how do we build infrastructure that is compliant with regulation now and future regulation as well. So I guess to kind of reiterate to your point, it's about that utility, so you can use it. It's about the scalability and the reliability. And, Reflection AI is a great example of that as well with what we're building. It's about any of the machine learning AI mini apps that go on our infrastructure are going to be vetted by us. So we check them, we ensure we give them an official tick that they are an appropriate algorithm that are compliant within our infrastructure. So we have that, they need to have utility, because if they're not useful, consumers or businesses are not going to use them. So the market will decide the use of these AI mini apps that our developers are loading up. On top of that, the scalability piece. So we're very lucky to have partnered with a Malaysian GPU provider that for our AI mini app developers will be providing initially free upstream GPU compute, so that they can effectively onboard onto our platform. They can, if anyone's familiar with AI on this call, upstream GPU compute is really the bottleneck. It's the challenge. It's expensive. It's the bottleneck in writing algorithms and spinning up artificial intelligence algorithms market. So we're solving that scalability problem. And then the reliability piece, by working on the TON network, we're really solving a lot of the problems with reliability, and also the tokenization model as well. So there's a commercial model. So, our developers can get paid through our REX coin. The consumers can pay with the coin. The DAO, the developers, and that whole kind of ecosystem, the market makers, the contributors, can also monetize that infrastructure as well. And we're providing all in a reliable infrastructure that people can access through Telegram. So again, that sort of utility, scalability, and reliability. To answer your question, I think that's why AI has become such a thing at the moment, whereas previously it didn't necessarily have all of those three components. So I'm sorry about that really long answer, but it's a big question.
Yeah, that's actually great. Thanks, Leigh, for letting us sort through all the things, right? Let's drive the AI market. And you are definitely super familiar with the Chinese market, right? You mentioned a lot of the famous websites that people are relying on in our everyday life, right? Thank you so much for connecting.
It's one of my favorite. Yeah, it's one of my favorite markets. Like I said, I worked for 3 years in China. I spent a lot of time in Shanghai, Beijing, and Shenzhen. I was even worked in the old Tencent offices there for some time as well. So before they got the new beautiful building, so it's a personal favorite of mine, and I was very lucky to work with all of those main technology companies that are household brands in 2016, 2017, 2018. So lots of fun.
Nice. Thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. And since we talk about the Chinese market, let's also talk about UAE and Singapore. How are they playing in the global Web3 business role? What role are they playing in the growingly Web3 business? Because as we could see that a lot of funders, a lot of project teams, they actually move their whole office to Dubai or to Singapore, right? Why is that happening? And also, Leigh's have been like driving the house market, right, in Singapore as well. So what do you think are the roles that Singapore and UAE play in growing Web3 business? Thank you.
Wow, what a wonderful question. I love that, Moonlight. That is a really great question. So I think there's multiple layers. It's a complex answer, but let's try and sort of strip it back to the layers. And I think we can, I'm most familiar with the UAE, so I've been based here since 2018. But previously I spent a short time working and almost living in Singapore, and I visit Singapore regularly as well. In fact, I've just returned from Singapore. So I think that let's start with, what do they both have in common, Singapore and the UAE? They both have a very clear vision from the leadership. And you know what, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about the leadership and talking about how great I think the leadership is of both of those countries, in particular the UAE. You know, I'm a huge fan of the vision of this country and what the UAE has set forward to achieve. I'm not going to spend too much time on that, but what I am going to say is that most other countries should be embarrassed that they have not recognized how good the UAE and Singapore are doing. And other countries have dropped the ball, as in they were going well and they didn't do so well. So the UK is a great example there. You know, the UK was doing a lot in 2017, 2018 to really attract top talent, to incubate, you know, high-tech companies, etc. And it just completely dropped the ball for various reasons. And Brexit is probably one of those reasons. Europe is more or less a bit of a shambles. You know, you have GDPR, which is a big weight that carries down innovation within the European Union, and you know, Australasia again, where I hail from, I think is just a bit of a shambles as well. You know, they tried but really failed to capture the hearts and minds of young technologically savvy people and the trends of the market. So let's look at what Singapore and the UAE have done really well. They recognized that Web3 was coming. They not only recognized it, they said, how do we build an environment that welcomes the talent first, the talent, the people? How do we create an environment that welcomes the people? How do we make it safe for them from a regulatory perspective to set up a business, to enter into the Web3 domain, to whether it's, you know, running a ICO, TGE, whatever kind of verbiage you want to give, make it easy to set up a company, make it easy to access capital, so get the people in, build the regulatory environment, build out the commercial financial environment where these entrepreneurs, these companies can access capital to be able to grow, offer incentives, which both Singapore's got some great incentives. If I look in the UAE, it's really driven by Abu Dhabi and Dubai. So Dubai, the DIFC, Dubai International Financial Center, and then in Abu Dhabi you have ADGM, which has been very aggressive lately in attracting, you know, top talent businesses. So you incentivize, and then on top of that, you also add in the full ecosystem of education and talent retention mechanisms as well. So like I said, it's multi-layered. So you have a very clear vision right at the top that's saying this is where we're going. They're building out, they're attracting the people, whether that's through great living environment. I mean, Singapore is a fantastic place to live. Dubai is my heart's here. I absolutely love it. It's one of the best countries I've ever lived in. It's safe, it's secure, it's beautiful, blah, blah, blah. I can talk all day about that. But you're getting a beautiful environment. The salaries are there. You can work with top talent people. There's the right energy. There's the right regulatory framework that protects you. There's the right incentives. There's the right access to talent, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I'll give you a really good example in the UAE, in Abu Dhabi as an example, given that I'm working in artificial intelligence. So Abu Dhabi has all of those things that I just explained. But for AI, as an example, they have their own, so it's Mohammed bin Zayed University of Artificial Intelligence, a specific AI university where not only can you bring your own talent to set your own business up, you also have a funnel of new high quality talent coming into the business as well. So you then, you know, there's a quote from, I met with the CTO of Emirates Airlines, I think it was in 2019, and he said something that's always stuck with me. He said the following phrase: the war is no longer for customers. The war is for talent. It's for people, the people who work in your business. Now, if you can set up a business in a place where not only can you can bring your talent and retain your top people, but also get access to new people, it's another great reason that you are retaining it. And Singapore obviously has great talent as well. I'll use an example with Reflection AI. I mean, we're spread across effectively Malaysia, Singapore, and the UAE. And if you look at that, when I meet the team, I feel like I'm getting older and older and older, or the teams are getting younger and younger and younger, but they're definitely getting smarter. And so if I look at the team members, we had a really good session last week or the week before last in Singapore, and we have, hyper intelligent interns, we have high quality developers, you have high quality machine learning professionals, etc. And that's because the region has set up a pipeline of educating these people to get to this particular point in 2024, that they are available and ready to work for companies like Reflection AI. And notwithstanding, in 2017, I was involved in various ICOs and involved in the blockchain market in 2017. So that's, what is that? That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 6 years. Yeah, it's 6 years, 7 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's those people who are working now, who are 27, were 20 at university at that particular date. So I think that there's been a vision from these countries. They've curated the right talent, they've created the right ecosystem, and that's really attracted top talent. In Dubai, there is not an event that you can go to without coming across someone in the cryptocurrency or blockchain market, or Web3, whatever component of the Web3 environment. There is not an event you can go to without a good, solid representation from people in the Web3 vertical. And you can feel the energy. It's different to having a banking meeting where everyone's sitting around twiddling their thumbs, and it's very, it's very monotone, etc. So that energy ultimately also brings the country along as well. When you have those, the right people in your country who are, effectively building towards the momentum of the country, and also driving towards its success as well.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Thank you so much for letting us know about different reasons behind the scenes, right? And how those countries, UAE and Singapore, support building Web3 projects in their countries. Definitely with the support from the officials is really important, right? And no wonder why people are keep moving to those places and to build their projects for a long run. So let's also talk about
Moonlight, could I just add one more thing? Because I think it's really important. This is a really important thing. Look, you're an entrepreneur, right? Mm-hmm. You are an entrepreneur, you have your own business, you're doing exceptionally well with what you do. That takes a lot of things, but there's one word that always stands out to me and of entrepreneurs, and it's bravery. Mm-hmm. Bravery. And people who move to different countries, who move from their home country and go to another country, mm-hmm. are brave. By the very nature. When you look at the leaders of the two countries that we're talking about here, Singapore and the United Arab Emirates, they're brave. And you can't buy bravery. That's not something that just turns up. You have to be brave. And so when you're brave around a vision of these countries, the other people who are brave and who are strong understand that, and it's a magnetic flow that brings this type of talent. And so therefore you start getting brave ideas, brave businesses, brave people communicating together. And I think that's something that I believe is really, really important for success. It's much more than just numbers. It's about having the right people who are brave and driving towards. And when you have visionary leaders, then it makes it a lot easier as well.
Mm-hmm. You are right. Bravery, vision, and also true grit, right? That definitely important key factors to drive of the team leaders, right, to continue to build and moving their project forward. So let's talk about this. Is actually related to the next question I will ask you regarding how does that feel being a CEO and working with people from multiple countries, especially you say you are based in Dubai, but the majority of the team is in Singapore, right? And of course, you are working with communities from different places around the world. So how does it feel like for you? Thank you.
That's a great question. I would say, first, I'd like to start with, I am incredibly happy to be working back in Singapore, in the Southeast Asia region, the Chinese, so the APAC region, so China, Malaysia, Singapore, etc. So it's so good to be back in the APAC region. I've probably had most recently I spent 3 years working in Africa, so working in Nigeria and working with a development team of 100 plus in India. And that was very, very intense, very challenging market and very challenging development cycles, etc. So it's really good to be back in Asia. It's really good to be reminded of just how good the teams are. And I'll talk about that in a minute, because that 3 years of working in China and having I had a development team in Beijing, we had a development team in New Zealand and Australia. I learned a lot about not only myself, but I learned a lot about how good that region is for development staff. Same as well. I've worked in Vietnam. I did a project in Laos for the government, and it's the same thing. There's a certain energy and intellect that comes in that region. There's a certain degree of sophistication and knowledge that comes in the region that makes business in some way easier to do than other regions. And that has a lot to do with, this may be a sort of controversial thing to say, but I was a CEO of a payments company, 2016, 17 and 18. And I mean, back then I was probably in my early 40s, right? I'm 50 plus now. So I was in my early 40s, had a very, very young team of developers. We had a team of, I think, close to 60 people. And this particular company, that it was a cross-border payments company working with Chinese payments companies going cross-border. That company was built on a team that was predominantly female, that was below 25. That's what made the company. That company, the development team, the business development team, the financial team, the marketing team were mostly females under 25, right? And I don't really care if this is controversial because it's just a fact. They made that company successful. And when you start realizing that in Asia there is this huge talent pool of youth that communicates incredibly well, is multilingual, very well educated, and exceptionally focused on just getting the job done, that makes your life a lot easier. So I guess starting off, I would say it's great to be back in Asia. That's not always get that. I'll give you an example. Say working in Australasia,
right?
So New Zealand, Australia. The amount of time that you would spend hypothesizing something or sitting around and thinking about things versus actually doing things was always a really big frustration for me working in that particular region. But then again, in New Zealand and Australia, there's lots of other really positives in that they can work with very little as well. So there's often very little capital in that particular region, and so you can actually prototype things very cheaply in that particular region. So I think there's nuances across every particular region. The Gulf region, again, we have a lot of money. There is a lot of money in this region, and a lot of that is going into Web3. There is multiple cultures in this particular region. So you have North African, you have obviously Arabic, you have a lot of people from Pakistan and India who are working in the development space as well. And so when you're working in this region, you have almost a melting pot of different cultures all working together. And you don't see that so much in, say, Singapore, as an example, where you might have sort of one or two or three people who have all been sort of in similar education cycles, universities all coming together, and so everyone knows how to work. But in the Gulf region, in the GCC region, particularly the UAE, and also becoming in Saudi Arabia, is you have there's so many cultures, and it can be very, very difficult to build cultural harmony especially when you're, running tight development cycles as well. And again, I worked in Nigeria, like I said, for 3 years. That's just another level, incredibly intelligent people in Nigeria, very, very well educated, fantastic technology team, but there's the infrastructure problem. So you have major infrastructure problems. There's government challenges. There's everything from corruption all the way through to just difficulties to be able to do business. Yet you have amazingly intelligent, highly educated people trying to change things, but it seems like everything you do seems like it's uphill. So yeah, I think you have all of these kind of different, and then you work in Europe, and Europe is just stagnating. It's I'm also in Italy. I love living in Italy, but it is just impossible to do anything. You want to do something, you have to go to the post office. Nothing is digitized. If it's digitized, it doesn't really work properly. It's a real challenge. The banking system is very monolithic,
Right.
and I've worked with people in Italy, and they're incredibly innovative. Again, highly educated, highly driven, but there's just this quagmire of infrastructure that they really struggle to get through as well. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of that. And I'm just picking. I'll give you one last example. Working in the US. So I was the CEO of a payments company in California, and this is a crazy thing that, having worked in China and having worked in the US, and we all know the kind of geopolitical tensions between the two countries, that's not hidden. I would say the level of professionalism that you get in the US and is only comparable to China. So you get this really high level of drive, high level of professionalism, high level of education. So funnily enough, the two sort of top areas that I've seen around, if you want to just get something done, it would be the China and the US. And so if I look at Reflection AI, what makes us great as a team, we have a Asia facing team.
Right.
Obviously, we have me here in the GCC, and a big part of my role as CEO is to translate the vision into the Asian market and into the wider Telegram market. So a CEO is really just in many ways a glorified voice box. I'm here to translate that vision, but also through working in the GCC and working in the UAE, understanding the ecosystems to see how Reflection AI can fit back into these large regulatory bodies. I mentioned the DIFC in Dubai and ADGM in Abu Dhabi, how we can fit into those ecosystems, because I think as a platform play, we're a perfect business to fit into that kind of UAE space as well. So I see, if I look at let's say March of next year, we will have gone through a relatively modest capital raise. We will have listed our token. We will probably have a team of about 30 or 40 staff, I would say, by March next year. We will have significant traction, and I expect that we will probably have a satellite office either in Dubai or Abu Dhabi, and working with one of those entities as well. So kind of like almost a cross jurisdiction between the Gulf region, the GCC, and also the APAC region, and bringing those two things together as well. And that takes a lot, coming back to your question, that takes a lot of cultural understanding and understanding the differences culturally of how things are done as well.
Got it. Thank you so much for detailed analysis, right? And letting us know about how working in different countries brings to a project, to a team. And also, do you have any specific cultural experience that influence a project's outcome other than the support from the government? How about the culture in different countries? Will they change how a project to grow or to build? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. So I think when I was the chief executive of a company called LatiPay, so LatiPay is the company's still going. It's a really successful cross-border company. That company was the first company to aggregate WeChat, Alipay, JD Pay, Baidu Pay, and 12 other Chinese banks, all which were domestic players in 2016, aggregate them into a SDK and give that SDK to international websites so that Chinese consumers could buy off Western or international websites and pay with WeChat, Alipay, JD, and Baidu wallets, or make a bank transfer through any of the main 12 main Chinese banks. So that particular company required a huge amount of sort of cross-border cultural knowledge, right? And I'm going to give you a couple of examples. So this is 2016. So I remember being in New Zealand at that particular time and presenting to a boardroom of bankers. So imagine the large table with, say, 12 bankers sitting around the table. I won't name the bank, all in their suits. And I was the CEO of this really successful payment company. And we wanted a relationship with the New Zealand bank. I can't remember what the reason for was. We wanted, and I was sitting there. So I'm going to give you a negative story and I'm going to give you a positive story. This is the negative story. And the negative story revolves around, what I think of as corporate xenophobia. I'm not going to use racism. It's corporate xenophobia. Xenophobia is the fear of things you don't know, right? So I was sitting at that boardroom table and I was presenting about these, what we were doing. And I said at the time, and we had our banking partner was in China, and our banking partner, you'll be familiar with this, was Ping An Bank, Ping An, right? You know, Ping An Bank's a beautiful building in Shenzhen, right? It's an incredibly beautiful building. And at that table, this is when corporate bankers sitting there, and they laughed at me and they said, "Are you making that name up, Ping An Bank?" This is a tiny little country, bunch of bankers having this kind of, these were people who feared China in 2016, who, China was still changing its brand, right? Brand China to become more international. It was at the beginning, kind of mid stage of that massive growth. And so there was fear in this small boardroom. And, Ping An Bank would have been, 300, 400 times the size of this small little bank in New Zealand.
Right.
But that example, we couldn't partner with a particular bank in New Zealand because they feared China. And there was this corporate xenophobia about China at the boardroom table, with guys who look like me, with white hair and grey hair and white, sitting at these boardrooms. So on one side, you had this cultural clash of the traditional people, boardroom bankers, pushing against this massive change in China, right? And cross-border payments coming, and even they would ask me, "What is this WeChat thing? We don't know what WeChat is," right? And I can kind of understand that, but I can't understand not knowing who Ping An Bank was. So on one side you have this pushback, but then on the other side, when we were capital raising for that company, the US, we were raising out of the US and also Singapore, and it was a relatively small capital raise. I think it was around five or seven million US dollars, right? The US and Singapore, they got it. They were like, China's where it's at. We get it. We understand why you're doing this. We understand why Chinese payments, which are domestic, going cross-border is important. And it was relatively straightforward to get investment. So culturally, the US would just got it straight away. I mean, you just need to say the population size of China and, the growth in the middle class. So the US was already understanding that this change was happening and was happy to invest and adopt it. So to your point, culturally, they were moving along. And then in Singapore, they were, they recognized what was happening with China and they were ready to, support and move it forward as well. So that would be an example, I think, of, as a CEO, it's absolutely critical at all times that we don't need to be the smartest in the room. And often we're not. Often we're the least smartest person. But what you need to be able to do is smell where the opportunity is, sense where the opportunity is, and there's that cultural fit and flow as well. It's very important. And again, I come back to Reflection AI. We have a really diverse team, but everyone understands what we're doing. And when we're pitching to investors, it's very clear that they understand what we do. We're Google Play for AI mini apps on Telegram. Basically, they get that straight away. But then when I hand over to my team members for what they talk about, they're talking about the architecture, product roadmap, the marketing, etc. When you're working in Southeast Asia, when you're working in Singapore, Malaysia, Southeast Asia, that APAC region, you hand over to your team, they're going to nail it. They know what they're talking about. They're succinct and that they're always going to deliver on what they talk about. So again, that's another thing I love about Reflection AI is they have a high quality team, but also working in Asia as well, as you have that sort of high knowledge and capacity to be able to deliver on the spot as well.
That is awesome. Yes, and talking about Reflection AI, currently we have close to 9,000 live views. And Leigh, would you wanted to use this timing to also share any deck about Reflection AI and introduce it to our audience as well? Thank you, because I knew that you have prepared a very beautiful deck to show the public.
Yeah, sure, I can. I hadn't actually intended to show a pitch document, but I do, and I'll make it really quick, everyone. So there's not really. I think the beauty of a really great company is that it sort of pitches itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just in very simple terms, what I will do is I will take it. Just bear with me. So can you see that my screen is changing?
Yes, it's really clear. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. So everyone, again, welcome and thank you for taking the time to understand what Reflection AI is and join this discussion. So very quickly, we are building an artificial intelligence platform, an AI mini app platform that is built on the TON network. So we're like Google Play Store and iOS for artificial intelligence mini apps. We talked about OpenAI and ChatGPT. Again, we're very similar to that. We're a platform for AI mini apps, but we sit on the TON network. And why is that important? Because it means that we can monetize and transact on the TON network as well. So very, very quickly, we have our proprietary AI mini app store where we have our developers can host AI mini apps and consumers and businesses can effectively use these mini apps either outside Telegram or within the Telegram infrastructure. We have a dashboard. So if you're an AI developer, you can for free list your AI mini app on the Reflection AI infrastructure, and you can have a dashboard to market that app, predict the growth of the app, and optimize the app as well. And also for everyone's reference, we are launching the Rect coin. So we're preparing for an exchange listing very, very soon. Our infrastructure goes live on the 15th of October. And the tokenomics of that is our app owners, so the developers can monetize it. Users can pay for mini apps, so you can get freemium, premium subscription, or in-app payments as well for if you're using the AI mini apps. We have a marketplace, and the GPU and nodes can be compensated through the Rect token as well. And also naturally, we have a developer DAO driven matching owner of build, which is on the Rect coin as well. So I don't really want to finish off too much because I don't want it to be a pitch. Like I said, I think most people get it. I know that investors in our marketplace really understand what we do and where the value is.
Right.
These AI mini apps, as we said earlier, Moonlight, they can be anything from a virtual boyfriend or a virtual girlfriend through to a counselor, through to a crypto trading algorithm, through to digital avatar, through to food ordering. It can be anything, and that's the beauty of what we do as well. We don't create the apps, that's the developer community. We host the apps on the TON network. So I'm not going to say any more, but I hope that everyone understood what we do. And we'd love to have you partake, especially when we launch as well.
That is amazing. Thank you, Sally, for giving short and sweet. And so let's go to our final discussion topic. And how have you seen the market change from ICOs to TGEs? And can you also reveal the TGE plan for Reflection AI as well? Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So look, 2017, I was lucky enough to be involved in 2 ICOs. So I think, if anyone's young on this, that's an initial coin offering. And I think it's after all of the, after the big dip or the dip in 2018, sort of, I think it was February 2018, there was a big drop out of the market. I think ICOs went through a bit of a rebrand and now they're TGEs. There was obviously a lot of regulatory change. There was some major challenges with ICOs from defining, are they securities or not? Many of you will be familiar with that. That was a big debate, 2017, 2018. Obviously, the SEC in the USA has brought a number of cases against both exchanges and token companies that went through an ICO because they were classed as securities as well. So I think that the main difference between the ICO environment in 2017 and 2018 is regulation. And market confidence. So I think now reminds me a lot of 2017. So I just got back from Singapore and Token 2049, and just that vibe, that whole kind of it was like, it was very, very intense. Reminded me a lot of 2018. I was in Da Nang for the Vietnam blockchain festival, and we'd completed a successful ICO for a Vietnamese a blockchain company that was doing ratings and reviews, a really successful token. So I think that energy is very, very similar in what we have now, but what we have is a much more mature community. There's more investment. People understand how to invest into Web3 as well and the tokenomics of that. And we also have much more transparent regulatory environment as well, which gives people confidence to launch these companies. So for us, we're right in the middle of preparing for, I mentioned, our listing. Hopefully that will be done in the next month or so. If we look at I'll just give you a brief sort of summary of the tokenomics model. But I'll keep it brief so I don't sort of bore everyone. So the node and user rewards, we have around 50% of the tokens allocated towards nodes and users. So that's 500 million of the rect coins. We have, for the team, there's around 15% allocated. We have 15% for the DAO and governance rewards. 8% for ecosystem contributions, 2% for advisors, 5% for institutions. So we are in the middle of closing a institutional round at the moment for 5%. And that's sort of prior to going to the exchange, and also the liquidity support of around 5%. So very mature plan. We're a mature company. We have some really strong people who have gone through the whole process of preparing for our launch as well. And yeah, so that's where we are. So expect to see the Rect token going to the moon. And but I just want to say, if I can, maybe just finish off. And I see we have 1 more minute. So I'm a big one for time.
Oh, well, take your time. Take your time. Yeah, no rush.
I'll keep it brief in very simple terms. So. And this is maybe a parallel you can draw between 2017 and 2024. In 2017, the model was often just pump the token value, right? It's all about token value. So investors would either boom or bust based on the token value. And token value is obviously incredibly important. But 2024 is different because you need to, in my view, of course, the token value, you have to have your eye on that, because those are your main stakeholders. Those are effectively your shareholders. Your community are the shareholders in the token. So that's a critical piece. However, real value comes from also running an effective business model as well. So I believe that you can merge the thinking of Web3 and that aspirational and, sort of go get them and to the moon and, let's drive the coin to the top, and make sure that you have some good governance around it. I believe you can do that. But at the same time, I believe you can match a really good business model where you can generate genuine revenue from what you do as well. And so the platform model works really well for us, because our model is effectively a 10% exchange for any funds, any monetary transaction through our tokens, through the AI mini app. So if you develop an AI mini app and 100 people buy that app, I'm simplifying it, 100 people buy that, we take 10%, but the developer gets 90% of that, right? And so that model puts us in the stage where we actually have we're working on a proven business model that's working with Hugging Face that we talked about at an existing AI platform. It works for iOS and it works for Google Play, and it works really, really well. So we're merely, yes, there's the token, which is our core focus of value, but we also have a really strong underlying business model that can be monetized. We also have a premium model for, the larger developer houses to be able to load up their AI mini apps as well. And there's a couple of other components. We have an advanced analytics dashboard, which they can consume for a cost as well. So I think I know we have a really strong business model, but also we can bring enough individuals who are vested into the community, invested into the platform, to be able to ensure that the token value will rise significantly as well. So I'm really, really excited about this particular project, and I would like to maybe finish off and just say thank you, Moonlight, for your time, and also thank you for everyone. Look, it's 8 o'clock here in the UAE. So I'm probably sounding a little bit dusty and a little bit tired, but I want to thank everyone from around the world, no matter what your time zone is and where you have come from, and for investing your time in hearing this discussion. And I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, Leigh, for spending time with us. Yeah, I really appreciate you have shared a lot of your own experience and also market observation, right, for the AI industry, and also, combining AI, blockchain. And of course, we are so glad to know that Reflection AI's platform is launching soon on October 15th. So friends, once again, be sure to give Reflection AI a follow so that you will not miss their really important updates in October. Appreciate Leigh for spending time with us, and let's keep in touch. Thank you.
Share Moonlight. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you
Goodbye,
so
everyone.
much. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. I'm going to close our backstage over here. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you. Bye. Okay, and we are ready for our replays. The replays will be available across platforms, everyone, as we are streaming on our Binance Live, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, right? And we are also going to start our replays for people who missed previous important information from Leigh. We talk about really a lot, and how AI empower the future of creativity for content creators, for marketing, and also different countries working experience, how to lead the internationalized team, right, from all the world, and also about Leigh's personal experience working from Africa to Asia, right now to in Dubai, Singapore, and of course China as well, right? Definitely lots and lots of great information have been shared today. And shout out to everyone who are joining us across platforms. Now I'm going to start to do our replays. Thank you so much. Okie dokie. Let's listen to some music first, and then we'll go to our replays. Thank you.